Today we're going to be looking at a gun that's been mentioned in my comments section too many times to be ignored. And I'm talking about the Razorback from MW2, and this thing, I'm just going to let you guys know right now, absolutely shreds. We're going to test it on some HVTs here in the second tier zone, then we're going to go into the red tier zone and test it on a bunch of Mega Abominations, HVTs, and then we're going to go on into the Elder Dark Aether. So if you guys are into zombies content or anything Call of Duty, be sure to rock the hell out of that like button and subscribe to the channel. Just hit 16,000 subscribers. You guys have just been going absolutely insane with all the support lately. We're going to hit that 20K before we know it. Really quick before we get into everything about this AR, I do need to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor. If you guys are looking to unlock the new MW3 camos such as Interstellar or Borealis, or possibly even play in some bot lobbies or get all the best schematics in Modern Warfare Zombies, then be sure to check out Midge Cactus. They're the biggest and most reliable sellers with heaps of brand new offerings for MW3 with completely safe and legitimate services for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. With thousands of great reviews on Trustpilot, you guys should definitely check them out. Be sure to use code REALG at checkout for 5% off your entire order for a limited time only. Now I remember using this thing a little bit back in Season 2, I do believe, and it was slapping back then, and I wanted to come in here and absolutely make this thing as powerful as possible, so we're bringing in a legendary Aether tool and I'm sacrificing a flawless crystal. With how good that this AR is, I would say if you guys bring in an epic, you should be just fine. You guys can see we handled that HVT on that Disciple in the second tier zone in just a matter of seconds, and now we're already in the red tier zone and we're fighting this Mega Abomination here. Now, sometimes this isn't the best spot to be testing it on Megas because they will charge at you a lot, so it took me a little bit longer to put this guy down, but we eventually did, and I was like, well, that was actually pretty fast. So let's go over to the one that spawns over by the gate. That way we can hop on top of that little building and he can constantly beam us and we'll be able to take this guy out easy. As you guys can tell, it's handling these third tier zombies really well. Already I was pretty impressed. It seems like this AR is going to be a really good all-around weapon, just kind of good for everything. It's really good for taking out the strongest zombies, and it's also good for taking out some of the strongest bosses we got on the map here. This guy tried to beam us, he didn't even get a chance to. We just popped that head right off. This Razorback is absolutely just going to melt this Mega Abomination. Let's say this is almost as fast as the Stingers or the FJX. Maybe not right there with them, but it's pretty damn close. Yes, I know that there's going to be people in the comments saying, well, you had a legendary Aether tool and a flawless crystal. Well, you should be able to pack-a-punch your gun up to level 3 no matter what, and not all guns with a legendary Aether tool are going to be acting like this. In fact, we actually got quite a few guns in this game, I swear to God, no matter how much you upgrade them, they are just absolute doo-doo, like the Riveter. Speaking of, how can they do that? How can they come out with an automatic shotgun and it's just like literally the worst gun in the game almost? Take out this next Mega Abomination, and we had to do a little bit of jumping in between the crates. He tried to charge at us a little bit, but we were still able to easily take this guy out. This thing is definitely a mega destroyer, so if you want to come out here and impress your friends a little bit, maybe rock this thing. Kind of funny, sometimes I'll come out to the red tier zone and I'll notice there's like 4 different guys just like all shooting at a Mega Abomination, hardly doing any damage at all, and they're just continuously shooting at him, and then I'll just like walk up, shoot at it a little bit and kill it. If you guys have the right setups and you're constantly just aiming for their open mouths or like when they're beaming at you, also be trying to climb on top of things, because if you're on top of objects, the Mega Abomination is going to think that it can't get to you, so it's going to try to shoot you. Of course, that's when you can cause the most damage trying to pop off those heads. If you guys are just shooting at the body or like when their mouths aren't open, you're not going to be doing very much damage at all. Now we got an HVT on a Mega Abomination, so these guys have a little bit more health, and we were dealing with a bunch of zombies at the same time, and this Razorback was just handling everything. Not only were we taking out this HVT pretty quick, but we were being pretty overrun with zombies, and we were able to take all of them out. Guys, just from what I've tested so far, I'm very impressed with this AR. It has really good movement, it has really good damage. Whether you're just trying to complete contracts in the red tier zone or you're trying to defeat bosses, I think this thing would handle itself really well. So I do want to take a quick second to apologize to you guys. The last couple of videos, for some reason, YouTube keeps trying to turn off my comments. I have been in contact with support a few times over the last couple of days trying to resolve the problem, so hopefully it does get fixed soon. Really hope it doesn't happen with videos going forward, so just know if you guys click on one of my videos and if you see that the comments are turned off, I'm personally not doing it. I'm actually doing everything in my power to try to make sure that it doesn't happen going forward. I absolutely love reading your guys' comments. I love my community. I love responding to you guys and talking to you. So with that aside, we are finally here inside of the Elder Dark Aether, and I'm grabbing my first contract here, and I was pretty surprised off this one because we ended up getting the Disciple, and 9 times out of 10 I usually always get the Mega Abomination, and this Disciple, don't let it fool you, can actually be quite the pain in the ass. I thought about trying to do it with my gun, but then I was like, you know what, no, we're just gonna be safe and throw down the jug and finish him that way, because you guys are gonna see after after I take on the Disciple, not only after do we kill the Disciple, but we're still just being absolutely overrun with zombies all the way until the point where we were forced out of the suit. Now, they definitely did a pretty good job on buffing up this Dark Aether, because there is definitely so many more zombies in here. I remember when they first launched this thing, this Dark Aether was so easy, like almost to the point where it was just too easy. It kind of felt like hanging out in the second tier zone. Now it actually does feel like a Dark Aether should. I think it actually feels like it's tougher being in here than it is even just hanging out inside of the red tier zone, which is how the Dark Aethers honestly should be. Even after we got out of the suit, there was still zombies just surrounding me, and I had to end up throwing another decoy. We only ended up getting one damn mega holding out of here, but that's alright. I guess it's better than nothing. Now let's go over and start our Aether extractor contract, and for these, man, I am just telling you guys, bring in some monkey bombs. Those are definitely by far my absolute favorite things to use when doing this contract. I mean, yeah, the decoys do work, but they're not going to be killing any zombies. They're just going to be distracting them for a few seconds, and by the time you get to the third Aether extractor, you're going to have a lot of those guys built up, and it's going to be really hard for you to get that third one done, or even just grab the rewards after you're done with the contract. Now, while the cashmere grenades can be a really good option for you to bring in as well, they're not really my favorite to use, just because while you have those things thrown out, the zombies can still swipe at you while they're being sucked in towards that thing. If it's not quite close enough, then the zombies will still just straight up attack you. When you're using either monkey bombs or decoys, the distance that you gotta throw those things in order for the zombies to not actually be distracted by them is really far. Unless you're on top of the fortress inside of the first Dark Aether, that has happened to me quite a few times. I've ended up throwing the decoys like off the wall of the fortress, and then the zombies are just like, we're just gonna attack you anyway. I think this extractor contract is probably the easiest contract to do inside the Dark Aether, but it's also the most stressful at the same time. Hell, the pull out of this contract was not too bad. We ended up getting those VR11 schematics, plus we got the Elder Sigil, and then we got a VR11 case. Really not too bad. I'll definitely take that. Grab our last contract here. This one's going to kind of show us a little bit how this thing is going to be handling these zombies inside of the Elder Dark Aether. From what I could tell, it really wasn't too bad. We are going to do a little thing that I figured out here. I had some decoys plus the cashmere grenade, so what I do is I end up tossing out a decoy. Once I get all the zombies all together in like one big clump, then I just toss out the cashmere and get them all sucked into that. Sometimes now when doing this Outlast contract after the buff, you can definitely get outrun pretty easy, especially if you don't bring in like a sentry gun or something to help you out. Fending off these guys with only your gun can be a little bit tough sometimes. This Razorback is handling itself really well. We're just deleting these zombies and also like these manglers and these disciples that are in here. This does kind of remind me of like the original Dark Aether. I remember in the original Dark Aether, when we were doing the Outlast contract, there wasn't a mega abomination that would spawn in there, but now recently over the last season, I do believe, been quite a few times where I've done that Outlast contract in the first Dark Aether, and there's always a mega abomination that spawns in there now, which is just absolutely insane. Especially when trying to do that contract solo, just being in there fending off the mega and like all the bosses and all the zombies and everything, it can just get absolutely hectic. Definitely think the original Dark Aether is still way harder than this one even after the buff. One thing that this Dark Aether had going for it is that we could find the acquisitions from the previous Dark Aether and this one, but I don't know, man, lately for some reason I haven't been finding those older acquisitions. That could just be completely my luck, and this game is 1000% RNG, and sometimes unfortunately that just doesn't play in our favor. And of course we ended up going down right here. That's alright, we brought in a couple self revives. I'll always tell you guys, definitely be prepared. Even the best of the best players all go down from time to time, and especially if you plan on doing one of these Dark Aether solo, just be smart and bring in a few self revives. I would honestly say a bare minimum of 2, just because you never know. Besides having our one little slip up, I would say that this AR handled itself really well in here. The loot out of this contract wasn't too bad either. We ended up getting a VR11 case, and then we got another Elder Sigil, so I'll definitely be taking those. I've been stacking up those Elder Sigils, so that way I have a couple saved for when we get our Reloaded update. Just remember that when we get the Reloaded update and you guys complete the story mission, and then you get all the parts upgraded, and you open up the new Dark Aether, you can just use that Elder Sigil and skip going through the regular one. Here we are finally at our extraction. This was definitely a pretty damn good run. We got a few wonder weapons, and then we got that mega holding, so the loot could have been a little bit better, but it was pretty decent. This Razorback is definitely a gun that I think you guys should try out here in Season 3. Definitely one of the better guns in the game right now. Throw on some Napalm Burst and you got yourself a Mega Abomination Destroyer. I'm gonna toss out the loadout up on the screen right here for anybody that wants to check it out. Thank you guys all so much for everybody that checked out the video today. I greatly do appreciate it. Be sure to drop a like on the video if you guys enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if anybody is new. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next one.